welcome back to my channel. My name is Jodie, and in this video I'm going to do something a little bit different. So this is going to actually be part one of two videos where I'm going to show my movie soundtrack collection. So I am a huge lover of film score and soundtracks. It's probably one of my favorite kind of aspects of film, to be honest. I do love music, but one of my favorite genres of music to listen to is film score. So kind of one of my favorite things to collect, you know, aside from DVD and Blu-ray, are movie soundtracks. So I do have I have like a conservative enough collection. Like I don't kind of tend to like buy a whole lot of movie soundtracks, but the ones I do buy are ones that I really love and ones that I'm going to listen to over and over again. So I do collect movie soundtracks both on vinyl and on CDs. So just to kind of keep the keep the videos kind of concise enough, I'm just going to show the vinyls in this one, and then I'm going to show all my movie soundtrack CDs then in part two. So yeah, as I said, I'm a huge fan of movie scores and soundtracks, and I just really feel like that they are just so incredible at just elevating movies. Even kind of, you know, there's even some soundtracks that I have that wouldn't necessarily be like my favorite film, but for some reason, because it has an amazing score, it really just sort of elevates it and just makes it much more kind of rewatchable, and it just kind of changes the tone of a film, I think. I'm definitely someone that's very like easily manipulated by a score, because obviously scores are there to kind of play a very particular role in sort of telling you what emotion to feel and kind of how to react to a certain situation. And I'm definitely someone that responds very sensitively to that. And so for me, just when a film has a great score, it just makes me love it even more. So yeah, I've kind of always been like that. I've always just been a huge fan of film music and as I said, scores and soundtracks. So I've collected the vinyls. I've only been probably collecting maybe for about 5 years. That's when about 5 years ago is when I kind of got myself a vinyl player. So again, very conservative kind of collection here. But the CDs, which you'll see in part two, I've kind of been collecting them for a little bit longer. So there's a few more of those as well, but again, not like a crazy collection or anything like that, but just again, yeah, just some of my favorite scores. So without further ado, I'll just get on and I'll show you every movie soundtrack that I own on vinyl. So starting strong with one of my all-time favorite films and one of my all-time favorite soundtracks as well. It's just incredible, and it is this vinyl of Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. Now this for some reason the tracks on this are, except with the exception of all of like the classical music on this soundtrack, they're not available like on, you know, on Spotify or anything from what I can see. So and I'm not sure if there's like a CD release of this, please correct me if I'm wrong, but this is like the only access I have to kind of some of the music pieces on this. So this is just an absolutely fantastic soundtrack, and I just love I love Wendy Carolos's kind of futuristic versions of some of the classical music in this, and just some of the classical score on this is just absolutely incredible as well. So yeah, just absolutely love listening to this vinyl. So this is one that I picked up on eBay. I think this is really old. I'd say this probably came out when the movie came out, so it's a little bit kind of scratchy, but yeah, just what a fantastic soundtrack, and just blends kind of like futuristic kind of sounds and classical sounds so beautifully. So love the soundtrack, Clockwork Orange. The next soundtrack is it's one that it's very special to me, to be honest, because it's a childhood favorite film of mine, and it has a score by my favorite composer, James Horner. So this one it's the soundtrack to Casper. So yeah, I just grew up on this movie. It's just one of the first films that I remember watching and kind of rewatching over and over again. So this soundtrack is just very special to me, and it just brings back a lot of memories, and I just absolutely adore this movie as well. So this is definitely a newer vinyl. It's definitely a newer press, but it's just an absolutely gorgeous vinyl. So this one is all score, with the exception of the Casper the Friendly Ghost theme at the end, which is sung by Little Richard, but all the rest of it is all score from James Horner. And it is just absolutely beautiful, and it's just very, very emotional. So yeah, this is just a score. I don't know if this film is kind of for everyone, but it just holds a very, very kind of special place in my heart. So I just absolutely love having this one on vinyl. The next one is probably my most recent pickup, actually, because I only watched this movie just over Christmas, and then I found this vinyl in a charity shop like the day later, which was really weird. So it is this one, Dr. Zhivago. Yeah, the score on this was absolutely gorgeous. So this one was composed by Maurice Jarre, and yeah, absolutely beautifully scored film. So this one just has, yeah, again, it's all score. Yeah, so beautiful. And this one has like, there's a couple of motifs that are sort of repeated all the way through the film, but it's just so distinct to that film now. And yeah, I just think it's fantastic, and I'm really happy I've seen the film, and now that I now have the soundtrack. So this is just a very easy listen, so I absolutely love it. Dr. Zhivago. This next one is another, just one of my all-time favorites, and it's one, I think that it was my first soundtrack when I was younger. I think I got this on cassette from my dad for Christmas, and it's just been a soundtrack that I've just listened to on repeat throughout my whole life, really, and I'll never stop listening to it because I just adore it so much. And it is James Horner's score of Titanic. Yeah, this is just such a beautiful vinyl. This is so heavy. There's two records in here, so yeah, this is just one of my all-time favorite scores, and it's just so beautiful. So you'll see it. It's also going to be coming up in my CD collection because I have a couple of versions of Titanic on CD. So yeah, just a very, very special soundtrack again to me because of just the nostalgia and everything that it evokes, and it's just been one that I've just kind of had on repeat my whole life, and I love the movie as well. So yeah, Titanic, just one of my all-time favorite scores as well. So yeah, I'm probably going to say that so many of these are my all-time favorite scores, but Titanic is definitely up there. So the next one is a really fun one, and it's just a fantastic score from Danny Elfman, and it is the soundtrack to Beetlejuice. So yeah, this is so great. So this has yeah, this one has like all the kind of songs, the Harry Belafonte songs, and of course the Danny Elfman score, which is just so much fun, and it's just so chaotic and kind of such a mischievous kind of score, but it's just absolutely fantastic. So yeah, another one that I just absolutely love. So this is yeah, another actually one that I kind of grew up with. So for me, this again, it just sort of brings the nostalgia back of being a kid and watching this, and it's a film I've continued to watch over the years. So the soundtrack just brings back fantastic memories. So yeah, Beetlejuice is the next one. So next is just another absolute gem of a score for me, and this one is from Ennio Morricone, and it is the score for Days of Heaven, the Terrence Malick film. Yeah, just this film is, it's another one of my just absolute favorite films. I just love this, but I think this is just such a beautiful example of a score just elevating a film just to a crazy degree. I just know, like, Days of Heaven it's a very simplistic story, and I just think what really lifts it up is the cinematography, and the score by Ennio Morricone is just, there's just some absolutely gorgeous pieces on this. And there's a Camille Saint-Saëns song at the start of the movie. It's called Carnival of the Animals as well, and that's very kind of very specific to this film. It really anytime I hear it, I just think of Days of Heaven. And then there's a few kind of pieces of score that are sort of like inspired by that as well. So this is just absolutely sensational piece of score, and a score I just feel like no one ever talks about. And yeah, it's just absolutely gorgeous, and it took me ages to find this, and it was not cheap either to get a copy of this on vinyl. So it's just one that I will hold very dearly forever. So I just absolutely love this one, Days of Heaven. So next it's actually another new one. It's one that I got for Christmas from my husband, and it's this soundtrack to Muppets Christmas Carol. Yeah, I just absolutely love this movie so much, and the music is just absolutely gorgeous. So this one is, I don't even know who kind of composed this. Okay, so music by Paul Williams. Paul Williams is the composer on this one, and of course has all the just the fantastic songs that are in this movie. So yeah, you just can't go wrong with this. So it actually, he ordered it for me like way before Christmas, but it didn't arrive until after Christmas, so I haven't listened to this one yet because I didn't want to listen to it like after Christmas. So yeah, I just roll on Christmas 2025 when I can break this one out and listen to it, because it is just fantastic. So yeah, Muppets Christmas Carol is the next one. So this next one is not the greatest score in the world, but it's just one that I had to have because of how much I adore this movie, and it's the soundtrack to Tootsie, starring Dustin Hoffman. So yeah, this one is it's scored by Dave Grusin, who is just really not one of my favorite composers. Some of his music it kind of sounds quite dated now. I know there is exceptions to that, but on this particular soundtrack, yes, some of the music is a little bit kind of cheesy, and you know, that kind of 80s kind of saxophone kind of music. So not the greatest score in the world. There is some kind of fun songs though, by Stephen Bishop on this record. Yeah, that are in the movie that are a little bit ridiculous, but they're a lot of fun, and I love the movie so much, so I just had to pick up the soundtrack. So yeah, so Tootsie is the next one. So next, sticking on the Dustin Hoffman theme, and for this one I'm going to make a very bold claim, and you can feel free to disagree with me in the comments if you think otherwise, but for me, I think this is the movie with the best soundtrack of all time. And kind of by soundtrack I mean music that's not written for the screen, but rather music that is, you know, used, music that already existed that was used in the film. I think this is the best ever use of pre-existing music, because it just works absolutely seamlessly in this film, and I don't think this film would be the same without the soundtrack, and it is The Graduate. So of course I'm talking about the just fantastic music by Simon and Garfunkel on this soundtrack. So yeah, like The Sound of Silence, Mrs. Robinson, Scarborough Fair, April Come She Will, and then there's another version of Sound of Silence on it as well, which are just some of the most incredible songs. I think Sound of Silence is for me one of the greatest songs ever. And I love Scarborough Fair as well. It's probably one of my personal favourite songs, but yeah, I just think that the songs just again elevate this to just a crazy level, and it feels like some of the music was written for the film when it wasn't, and it just works so beautifully. Like I just really don't know if would this film have had the same impact if it wasn't for the Simon and Garfunkel music. So there is some additional kind of score on this from Dave Grusin, who yeah, again, like it's nothing kind of remarkable, but I think just for the Simon and Garfunkel songs, I just think this is just such an incredible soundtrack. So The Graduate, and I just absolutely love that cover as well. It's just amazing. So yeah, The Graduate. So next I think are like a few musical ones, and first up, this is a movie, I think this is from 2021 or 2022, and I went to see this one in the cinema and literally could not get any of the songs out of my head. Just a fantastic musical with great songs, and it is this one, Cyrano, and I know this one didn't get a lot of kind of love when it came out, but I have to say the songs on this are just absolutely gorgeous, and yeah, they're just ones that I have re-listened to over and over again. And if you do watch this film and if you hear the soundtrack, there is a piece of music on this called yeah, it's called Wherever I Fall, and it is probably one of the most sad songs in history. Yeah, it's just absolutely gorgeous. So really like this one. If you haven't seen Cyrano, and if you like musicals, and this one, obviously it was made in 2021, but it's about the story of Cyrano de Bergerac, so it's like a period musical, and I just absolutely loved it. So yeah, I would really recommend this one if you haven't checked it out, because I know it kind of flew under the radar for a lot of people, but yeah, the soundtrack is just fantastic. So next is a proper classic soundtrack, and a fantastic musical, probably one of the best musicals ever made, in my opinion. And I know Stuart George will definitely agree with this one, and it's the soundtrack to Oliver. So this edition of Oliver, I think this is like an original press of this soundtrack. I think I have no reason to believe it's not, because yeah, it's copyright 1969, so and it definitely feels like an older record. It's a lot lighter. But yeah, what a fantastic soundtrack and a fantastic musical this is. It's just absolutely jammed full of just incredible songs. Yeah, I don't think there's any misses in this soundtrack, to be honest. It's just a fantastic musical, and it is my favorite musical to kind of rewatch over and over again. So yeah, Oliver is just an absolute classic. Next is another classic. It's probably not one I listen to as much because it's a little bit more kind of saccharine than Oliver, but it's definitely just an absolute classic as well. And I do love this movie and this soundtrack. And it's The Sound of Music. So yeah, just really, really fantastic movie. So this one, of course, with soundtrack from Oscar Hammerstein and Richard Rodgers. So yeah, brilliant songs on this one as well, and very iconic kind of songs. So yeah, can't go wrong with a bit of Sound of Music. So then next is the soundtrack to probably my favorite fantasy movie of all time. I'm trying to think, and I don't think there's any other ones that really compete with this for me. Again, this is another like kind of one I grew up with, so it's very, very special to me, and it is the soundtrack for Labyrinth. Just look at that absolutely gorgeous picture on the front. Just what a film and what a soundtrack. So this one is yeah, it's a fantasy musical from the 80s, and it's incredibly 80s. Like, the music is so, you know, it's just representative of the time that it came from. But the songs on this are just absolutely fantastic. There's just so many absolute bangers on this soundtrack. So Magic Dance, absolutely incredible. Probably my favorite one from this record is yeah, As the World Falls Down, and that's the one that plays as there's kind of, they're in like a kind of ballroom after Sarah kind of eats the apple, and when she's wearing this dress and everything as well. It's just such a great scene and such a beautiful song. I just love David Bowie on these tracks. So yeah, this soundtrack is, yeah, the score is from Trevor Jones. And yeah, what a soundtrack this is, and what a film this is. Just absolutely classic. Next is probably a little bit of a random soundtrack to have in the collection, but it's just a soundtrack that I just think is so cool. And it is The Wicker Man. And it's the first time I watched this movie, I just was not expecting it to be a musical, or kind of to have like these kind of musical numbers, these very strange musical numbers in it. But I just think they make the film so interesting, and there's something really I guess like mesmerizing and hypnotic about the music in it. And I think that's really what they're trying to do, because, you know, they're really trying to, I guess, mesmerize this policeman that goes to Summerisle to kind of investigate the missing child. So I really feel like it just does exactly what it sets out to do. And the songs are so cool. So there's two particular ones that I just absolutely love, and they're Gently Johnny and Willow's song. So if you've seen the movie, you should know those ones. But yeah, just what an incredible film, and yeah, such a great soundtrack, and just really, yeah, again, really just helps to kind of elevate the film and to kind of bring in that dread, and as I said, that kind of hypnotic quality, and that just very kind of folky kind of quality that the film has. Yeah, it's just absolutely incredible. It's not one that you kind of just whack on anytime, but it's just such a cool one to have in the collection. So absolutely love this one, The Wicker Man. So the next one is just an essential soundtrack that I have to have. It's completely unlistenable, but it is one that I just have to have in the collection, and it is The Exorcist. So this one, yeah, I got this on eBay, and there's like weirdly like a corner missing from it, but which is a little bit annoying, but oh well, it's grand. It's just one I have to own, because I just have to own everything Exorcist related. So this one, yeah, it's not like a soundtrack that you'd kind of just throw on. It's if you kind of know the music from The Exorcist, it's very kind of scriggly and kind of very, it's a lot of noises and that kind of thing, just to kind of, you know, I guess kind of bring in that kind of, you know, the creepy kind of factor. so it's not really one that you just kind of throw on, you know, when you're cleaning or anything like that. So yeah, it doesn't really get played a lot, but it's one that I have to own nonetheless. And there's kind of a mixture of composers in this one, but the main composer is Christoph Penderecki, so he does a lot of that kind of sound effect kind of music and everything that's used in it. And the really like annoying thing about this soundtrack is that this is the official soundtrack, the Warner Brothers soundtrack for The Exorcist, but the version of Tubular Bells on this is not the Mike Oldfield version, which is like crazy. So it is not the original version, but I do own Tubular Bells on its own vinyl, but yeah, it's not on the actual record, which is a bit of a shame, but it's still a fun one to have in the collection, just basically to own as much Exorcist stuff as I can. So yeah, The Exorcist is the next one. And then the next one is one I had to take down from my little display here, but it's the amazing Exorcist 2, The Heretic. And I know this has divided the community. Well, when I say divided the community, I mean it's divided me from the rest of the community, because there's literally no one else that I think that likes this movie. So yeah, but yeah, what can I say? I'm an Exorcist 2 lover, and kind of as I was saying in my in the video where I was talking about the Exorcist 2 on Arrow, yeah, this soundtrack is just absolutely bananas. There is just some really crazy pieces of music, but they're just fantastic and just fit this movie so well. And there is one piece on this actually called Reagan's Theme, and it is just one of the most gorgeous pieces of music. It is just absolutely beautiful. I'd say a lot of people, if you've seen The Hateful Eight, I know Tarantino used that piece of music in The Hateful Eight, so yeah, if you've seen The Hateful Eight, you'll probably know Reagan's Theme. If you play it, you'll probably recognize it. And yeah, I forgot to say this one is by Ennio Morricone. He did the score for this, and yeah, it is just absolutely incredible. And so yeah, it's probably just one of these ones that I'm definitely in the minority you know, of loving, but yeah, it's just one I'm just going to continue to really enjoy. And this one is this soundtrack, because it's Morricone, it's much more you know, it's just one that you can listen to so much more than the original Exorcist soundtrack. And it's one that I really enjoy, like, I can't lie. So yeah, The Exorcist 2 is the next one, and I'm going to put it back on my shelf. Next then we have a TV soundtrack, and it's just another just absolutely fantastic one. I just think I'm just raving about every single one of these, because I do kind of like curate these, like, as in I don't just tend to buy every single soundtrack, but the ones that I buy I just absolutely adore. So this one is no different. So I do have Twin Peaks on vinyl, the soundtrack. So the music from Twin Peaks is by Angelo Badalamenti, and yeah, it's just absolutely gorgeous. And I just think the music on this is just beautiful, and it's like played so much throughout the show, but it just works so well, and it really just fits the tone of the show. And I think this is a soundtrack I can listen to like all the time as well, like especially if you're like relaxing, or you know, if you're chilling out and you just want something on the background. It's a really beautiful soundtrack. So yeah, Twin Peaks, absolutely love this one as well. So next, speaking of Tarantino, so this is a Tarantino movie soundtrack. So he did tend to borrow a lot of songs from, you know, other movies. So this soundtrack is really just like a compilation of different songs from different movies, but it still just fits this movie so well. And it's this one, Inglourious Basterds. Absolutely cracking film. Love this film to death. I went to see it in the cinema when it came out, and it just absolutely blew my socks off. I just loved it. And I think one of the things, you know, aside from the dialogue in this movie, which is of course just sheer perfection, one of the things that really stood out for me in this was the music, and just how well it did actually fit the kind of action and everything in it. So, you know, Tarantino, he definitely has a good ear for music, and you know, he can definitely kind of visualize what songs will work well, you know, with particular scenes. So there's the back of this one. And the ones I really like from this one is there's a piece of music from, I think it's from the movie, is it White Lightning, with Charles Bronson. Yeah, White Lightning main title, and it's by Charles Bernstein. That's a really, really cool track. Of course, we have David Bowie's song from the movie Cat People, which is incredible. I love the movie Cat People, so it's really cool to see that song in it. And then the song that plays as the credit rolls is Rabia e Tarantella by Ennio Morricone, which is just absolutely gorgeous, and just, yeah, again, really just fits this movie so well. So yeah, all kind of songs that are just, you know, kind of borrowed from other films, but yeah, as I said, they work so well in this movie, and it is just absolutely fantastic. So another one that I just love to have in my collection. So next is probably a little bit of a lesser known soundtrack and lesser known film, and it's a Lindsay Anderson film starring Malcolm McDowell that I absolutely love, and it's this one, Oh Lucky Man. And the music in this one is all written and performed by Alan Price, who is from the band The Animals, I think. Yeah, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's from The Animals. And yeah, there's just some kind of tracks on this that are kind of performed throughout the film, and they kind of just like narrate the main character's kind of journey through the film. Yeah, and the songs are just absolutely fantastic. So if you have not seen this movie, it is absolutely brilliant. It's kind of one of my like go-to kind of comfort movies. Like, it's a very it's a very comforting watch. I just love the character that Malcolm McDowell plays in this, and I just love the kind of comedy of just all of these kind of crazy situations that he goes through throughout the film, which of course then are you know, are supplemented then by this fantastic music. So yeah, if you haven't seen or heard of Oh Lucky Man, it's one that I highly recommend, and I just absolutely love the songs on this soundtrack. Next, probably not another kind of not really well-known film. Please correct me if I'm wrong if you have seen this. I'd love to know. But it's a very early Christian Bale role, and it is this movie, Metroland. So I absolutely love like Mark Knopfler and Dire Straits. So you know, when I saw this movie, I just instantly fell in love with the music because it's all composed by Mark Knopfler. And it is just a fantastic soundtrack. So yeah, and it's a pretty good movie as well. It's a very young Christian Bale, and he's just so different from kind of what, you know, kind of how we know him now. But yeah, a pretty interesting film if you like Christian Bale and you want to check out some of his earlier stuff. It's a really good one. And yeah, the soundtrack absolutely fantastic, so I had to own it on vinyl. And yeah, so that is all the soundtracks that I own on vinyl. I just a couple more records here that kind of fit into the general category, because they're just kind of more compilation vinyls. So I have Ennio Morricone collection, and this one has yeah, this one has loads of different films, and it has some of the Man with No Name trilogy on it as well. Then I have a kind of John Barry compilation as well, and this one has some of the Bond music on it. It has Midnight Cowboy, Mary Queen of Scots, The Adventure, and Born Free. So yeah, some fantastic John Barry music. I just absolutely adore John Barry as well. And then finally I have this James Horner Classics collection. So this is some of James Horner's best known music, and it's kind of composed by kind of different kind of performed by different musicians. So I just absolutely love that collection. It's one I just listen to so often. So yeah, that is all my my movie soundtrack finals. So yeah, as I said at the start, like, it's not like a crazy collection or anything like that. I do buy kind of quite selectively in terms of the vinyls. I'm definitely more reckless when it comes to buying DVDs, but yeah, for vinyls I don't have a whole lot of space to store them either. So you know, so I don't kind of buy a crazy amount, but I'm kind of just happy with what I have there for the minute. There is definitely some more vinyls I'd love to get over time, maybe kind of some more you know, there's kind of some ones that I want to get that are a little bit kind of harder to get and maybe a little bit more expensive. So I definitely have a wish list when it comes to movie soundtracks, but you know, I'll get there eventually. I kind of don't need to get them straight away. The next one I definitely want to get though is the Omen soundtrack from Jerry Goldsmith. So I'm definitely going to get that one on. That'll probably be the next vinyl that I buy. But yeah, that is all the movie soundtracks that I have on vinyl. As I said, in part 2 I'm going to do all of the soundtracks and scores that I have on CDs. But yeah, if you're still watching this video, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And please, yeah, please leave a comment below and just let me know what you think of any of those soundtracks that I mentioned today. And then if you have a favourite score or soundtrack, please let me know what it is. I'd love to know. I love talking about movie music, and it's just one of my favourite aspects of film in general. So yeah, I'd love to know kind of what your opinions are as well. But yeah, thank you so much, as I said, for watching. And yeah, I look forward to speaking to you in the next video. Bye.